All right, let's see. Right, so up to this point, we've been using, we created a single page application that initially was only dealing with client-side storage, right? It was storing the information about courses and widgets and whatnot in the memory of the single JavaScript thread that was running. And last time around, we enhanced that by allowing the server to store the state of the application by exposing an API, a web service API, to be able to send information from the client to the server, and the server being able to store this information in session variables and local variables that had the list of users, list of courses, and whatnot. But if you restart the server, you lost all that information. So ideally, what we want to be able to do is store that information in the database, and that's what we're going to be focusing this time around. So to do that, we're going to be using a technology called JPA, which stands for Java Persistence API. We're going to skim the surface of JPA. We certainly cover it in much more detail in databases. But we're going to be using what we need, the minimal intro to JPA that we'll need to be able to store this in the database. Instead of JPA, we could use a very low-level library such as JDBC and do all the inserts and updates and deletes. Instead, we're going to be using a higher-level library like JPA to more easily map the Java models that we already built last week. We're going to be reusing those same data models, but then we're going to map them to a relational database. We're going to say, hey, you see all these classes and all these relationships, create all the tables and the SQL structures that you need for this to work. So this will be the last lecture where we're going to be talking about React and MySQL and Java. And also there's the last lecture that we talk about implementing the faculty side of this application that we've been working on. From now on, starting next week, we'll start focusing on the client side of this application, what the student sees. So right now we've been seeing what does the faculty see. So the faculty can edit, can manipulate the courses and the content. And from a student's point of view, they'll be mostly a consumer, right? A read-only interaction with the same data, but it'll be a read-only interaction. And instead of using JPA, we'll use Mongoose. We'll use instead of using MySQL and a relational database, we'll introduce using NoSQL MongoDB. Instead of using Java for our middle tier in our data modeling, we'll instead introduce Node.js and JavaScript running on a server. And instead of using React as a client side, a single page framework, we'll start using Angular as our front end framework. But we'll get started next week. So let's focus on finishing up the faculty side.